Booktube, it's Louise, the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. I hope you're having a good day. It is Sunday the 29th of November. I wasn't here last week because I was showing symptoms of the virus, but I don't have the virus. I was tested and they went, despite having all the symptoms, you haven't got it. So you can go back to work. And so tomorrow I go back to work. Hurrah, hurrah. And Benedict can go back to school. Hurrah, hurrah. Because we spent the week in our small house all together. But it was fine. It was good. It had to be done. I'm much better, thank you very much. I didn't kind of tell anybody that I was showing symptoms. I told work, of course. They were like, ooh, stay away. But no, I'm fine. I'm fine, and I'm back, and I'm here to talk about books. I have already recorded this video several times, and let's hope I get it right this time. If you can hear in my voice, it keeps going a bit, a bit like that because I'm still slightly chesty. The virus that I did have has made me very chesty. It's like having coronavirus without having coronavirus and not being too ill. Thankfully. Yes. So let's get on. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about books, baby. If you are new here, my name is Louise. I'm called the Big Head Bookworm. I live in the east of England with a husband and my 12-year-old son, Benedict, who is the bestest of all the boys. And I come to you to talk about the books that I have read, and if I have any reading plans, and I do weekend reads, and this is what it is. I'm talking about books at the weekend. Let's talk about books, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that we read. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about books. We also talk about ironing. Ironing? No, we don't talk about ironing at all. I never iron things if I can possibly help it. Talk about washing, hanging out washing. Ironing? Where did that come from? Lordy. There's no washing to report. It is so misty and murky out there. Ooh, it's a gloomy day. So no, I haven't seen the people opposite. We were talking about that this morning, the husband and I. We haven't seen the people opposite. I'm wondering whether they've gone to form a bubble somewhere else with somebody else. I hope they're well. I hope you're well, people opposite. I don't know you. Not sure how I'm going to find out how you are, apart from just going knocking on your door going, hello, you don't know me, but I stare into your garden a lot and look at your washing. That's not odd at all, is it? Yeah, might have to work on my little speech a bit better. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Washing or ironing. Ironing? Where did that come from? Anyway, let's talk about some books. This is the first book I want to talk to you about. Susan Hill, The Woman in Black. It's a classic English ghost story, and yes, it is. Bizarrely enough, I'd never read it. I couldn't believe it. Benedict has been tasked, I don't know whether he's been tasked to read it or just to kind of use it as a premise. Not really understanding. They were talking about Gothic novels and what a Gothic, the difference between Gothic and horror, I think, in his English class. And they were talking about The Woman in Black, and it made me realise I've never read it. Knew the story, I've watched the film with Daniel Radcliffe, but I haven't seen the stage production and would really like to. I'd just like to go back to the theatre again, actually. I would really like to go to the theatre again. In fact, we have got tickets to go to see the pantomime in just before Christmas. Woo-hoo! Which is just what we do every year, so cannot wait for that. And then we're going out, we're going to the theatre. Oh, yes. Anyway, I would like to go to the theatre and see this. So this is a ghost story. Arthur Kipps, a junior solicitor, is summoned to attend the funeral of Mrs. Alice Dablow, the sole inhabitant of Eel Marsh House. The house stands at the end of the causeway, wreathed in fog and mystery. But it is not until he glimpses a wasted young woman, dressed all in black, at the funeral that a creeping sense of unease begins to take hold, and such and such and such. So you are very much like, the reader is very much like Arthur. There is foreshadowing because he's telling the story when he's much older, and you know certain events have happened, but you don't see how they relate to this day. There's lots of, if I'd known that this was the last day, that I was going to feel this happy, if I'd known this was the last sleep I ever had, the last good sleep. So there's lots of that. he asks lots of questions, people don't give him replies, but he finds out what the mystery is of this house and this woman that he keeps seeing, and why people react with horror when he tells them that he has seen this woman. If you've seen the film, you know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then read the book or watch the film. The book is slightly different. There's a different ending. Whoa, it made me shiver. It made me shiver. It made me shake. The creeping sense of unease I very much got. It's a very slim novel. Doesn't need to be bigger. It's well written. It's well paced. It's slow to begin with. How can a book this thin be slow? But it is. There's a sense of quietness to begin with, and then it kind of creeps on you. Oh, there were certain scenes I was, oh, yeah, and it's set in November. Perfect time of the year to be reading The Woman in Black. I highly recommend. Then I read the Penelope by Margaret Atwood. This is a Canongate book in the Myths series, where well-known authors retell classic myths. And this is the story of Odysseus, written from the point of his wife, the faithful Penelope. It is a feminist retelling. It says here, half Dorothy Parker, half Desperate Housewives, which is not how I would have put it. It is feminist. Love Margaret Atwood. Love Margaret Atwood. A huge fan of Margaret Atwood. I haven't read a Margaret Atwood in quite a few years, actually. I used to, The Robber Bride and Alias Grace, and then The Blind Assassin. I was obsessed. And her earlier works. As well, like Handmaid's Tales and Cat's Eye. But I haven't, I think it's because my taste has changed. I am less fond of the dystopian, and she has gone down a dystopian road. Mind you, she was always pretty much there. Still highly admire Margaret Atwood, and I think she's one of the world's amazing creative forces. But I didn't love this. I don't know whether it's because I didn't like the style. They're quite unlikable characters. It's written from two perspectives, Penelope and the 12 maids. I did know the myth beforehand. I think that makes a difference, actually, knowing the myth beforehand. I think I would only read the books where I knew the myths, because I think then you can appreciate the kind of the twist of how they're telling it from a modern perspective, but it's full of unlikable characters. I mean, Odysseus is an unlikable character anyway, isn't he? And bit of a rogue. And Penelope, the faithful Penelope, is, you kind of wish that she had more agency and more gumption. Not keen on Helen of Troy. Oh no, her cousin. So it was enjoyable in the fact that I knew it was taking it from a different perspective, but I didn't love it. And it reminded me that this is a book a friend lent me and I need to send it back to her. I've had it for about 4 years and I haven't read it. And then I read it and so slim, and I've got to send it back to her. So, Sue, this will be coming back to you. Yeah. A bit of a meh for me. Glad I read it. Won't be reading it again. Then I saw this book on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I shall leave my details below. Come and say hello. Don't leave my details below. I saw this, and I think it's on a Bookish Grandma was reading this. Take a Bite, Crave by Tracy Wolfe. It is Twilight in a different cover. Fandom's new favourite vampire romance, Obsession. So it's very much kind of, it's a vampire thing. And this generation's Twilight. It is this generation's Twilight. It's so reminiscent of Twilight, in both a good way and in a bad way. It's longer than I thought. I don't know why I didn't truly get the fact that it is quite a chunky book, and it is like 570 pages long. Until I was about 300 pages in, and I was like, gosh, still a lot left. Had an issue with the pacing a little bit. It's very slow to begin with. I had an issue with Grace herself, who is our main character, our kind of Bella, as you were, which thank you everybody that told me that yes, Forks is a real place and it's in Washington State, not in Oregon, and it's beautiful. It does sound very beautiful. This is set in Alaska. There's an awful lot of references being cold or being hot. So many references. She really got into the theme of kind of temperature. I was like, oh, I love this. Oh, it's biting cold. It's very hot. I felt very cold. I felt very hot. He's hot. I'm cold. She's hot. There was lots of that. Cats getting up. The reason I've got the door open is because there is a cat down here. And I've discovered if I close the door, the cat goes, oh, I think I'll go out now. Are you all right? I'm going to scratch. Not doing her bits for once. She's just sorting her ears out. So there's lots of hot, cold. Oh, it's cold. I'm so cold. He's so hot. I'm so cold. And I touched him and he was cold. Oh, love. And there's a bit of a pacing thing. It's also Grace, love her. She really didn't twig, did she? I mean, not. I just kind of feel once you've read Twilight, and actually one of the characters gives her Twilight. That isn't a clue, with a kind of a knowing note that kind of goes, Twilight, like that. She didn't kind of twig, and I kind of feel that anybody will go, they're acting like they're werewolves or shapeshifters, or you're very much like a vampire. Are you a vampire? No, you're not a vampire. Yeah, no, I am a vampire. Oh. And she's like, oh, and yeah, good sense of humour though. There was the humour in here. I thought was good. I was glad about that. So yes, and it is kind of Twilight updated. So yeah, it's not a standalone. There is a series that follows, and it's, I think Crush is the next one. Crave and then Crush, and then something and then Covet, or something like that. I'm not going to be carrying on. I'm going to keep it as a standalone. It was fine. I read it. I wasn't very well, and it was about fine for me when I wasn't very well. And I'm not going to carry on with the series. I'm going to stay as a standalone. If it's something that might tickle your fancy, let your fancy be tickled. That's all I say. Wasn't to my taste, but I can understand people adoring it. So yeah. Let me talk about this book before I talk about that book. This is my latest book. That is nice and bright. There is a wait. I can't. There we go. The pair of shimmery wings, kind of angel's wings. It's The Sugar Queen, a spellbinding tale of love, friendship and magic by Sarah Addison Allen. I have read the Garden Spells, which was her first book. This is her second book. They are clean romances. So if you are into clean romance, if you don't want any naughty stuff, there's a bit of smooching, but that's it. Nothing more is spoken about. It's set in North Carolina. There is magic, and I didn't love Garden Spells. Garden Spells didn't really do it for me, but this one I enjoyed. I read the whole of it yesterday. The first chapter I was very much like, this is going to have to pick up. I'm not loving it. Look at this. The husband ordered a book, and this was not a romance, but this was what he got sent in it, a Mills and Boon leather bookmark. I was like, I'm having that. Thank you. Yes. I didn't love Garden. I can't really show you the book because of the shininess. Here I didn't really love Garden Spells, and I read the first chapter of this and I thought, I am really not clicked in yet. I need something more. I need the characters to, it's a contemporary, but I needed something more. It felt formulaic. But actually, I then gave myself another couple of chapters to read, and before I knew it, I was zipping past those, and I was into the story. It's a lovely book. It's quite big print. It's not too long. I read it in a day. It was very enjoyable, clean romance, and it made me think about friendship, because it's two characters. It is both about love and friendship, and about people meeting as adults and getting friends. And I thought that was really lovely, because quite often the ideal of friendship that's shown is that you know somebody from, she's been my best friend since I was 3, or my best friend since I was 11. The idea of having a best friend as well, that one person that really understands you. And friendship comes in so many ways, and I really firmly believe that we can make really good friends as adults. and friendships take all forms. And however friends show up in your life, that's fine. You know, that's not as fine. I mean, it kind of challenged that kind of sense of, oh, people have known me for years. People have known me for years. The main character has this thing that people knew her as a little girl, and so still treat her as though she is that 10-year-old, even though she's 27. And actually, this person who didn't know her just took her differently and was just like, yeah, you're really lovely, and I really want to quite happily spend a bit of time with you. And their friendship happened immediately, and it was lovely because of that, because sometimes as an adult that's what happens, and friendships form in different ways. And I liked it. I liked it. It made me realise that needs to be said more often, that friendships come in all different ways, and we can still meet people as adults and become really good, close friends. And I thought that was lovely. So that, more than the romance, actually. So yeah, Sugar Queen. So that was quite good. It was quite a good little clean romance if you're into it. And then my last book I want to show is Taz Thornton's Whispers from the Earth. Now, I've shown this before. I'm very fortunate to know Taz Thornton and to count her amongst one of my friends, my very, very close friends. And this is her book, and it is a very slim guide teaching stories from the ancestors, beautifully woven for today's spiritual seekers. Now, I have read all of it before, but I found myself the last couple of days dipping in and reading certain stories again that were calling to me. And I read The Girl Who Was Different and the Wasp King, and that was a beautiful story. And I also read The Listening Tree. Is it The Listening Tree? Can I find it? So it really, I think it is The Listening Tree. So it can be the list at the beginning. Yes, The Listening Tree. So those were the two that were called for me, and it's a beautiful book for that kind of thing, for stories that you just need something, a little kind of whisper from the earth, a little story to help you to articulate what it is that you were feeling or why you need something. So that was I just wanted to give a shout out to this book because I read it this week. I read those stories this week and they really resonated. So there we go. The Whispers from the Earth. So there we go, friends. That's it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm talking about. It's really lovely, the books. They all look really good. And then that one. Oh. So look at that. That's an Instagram picture. In fact, I have got an Instagram picture with this on it. And then I read this one and it doesn't go. Never mind. So there we are. So it's 5 books. And I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, I've got another video that I'm going to film, which is about books that I'm going to read next. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, hope you are well. Hope you're having a good day, whatever it is that you're doing on this Sunday. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. This has been lovely, BookTube. Let's do it again.